Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Who are you? This is your host, Dr. Lear. And today we are in Europe. We're remaining at home. We are on our home grounds today. We are in Germany. We are in Germany. We are in Germany. I was about to travel to Hamburg, but let's say, nevertheless, I decided to remain in my home ground near Frankfurt because our guest decided to visit us back in Frankfurt. So today we are going to have a mix of English and German. Let's see how our German can function, or maybe it will not, but at least we will have something to talk about, a little bit of German, because we are at home. And sometimes it's good also to speak the home language. So I'll not take a lot of your time. Our guest she is a stand-up comedian. So she does also comedy writings. She helps people to write comedy books. She is been all over. She's been in Sydney. She's been in Hamburg, she's been in Frankfurt, she's been everywhere. So she is international, as I said. She is great, and we are going to learn a lot. We're probably going to get some comedy. We're going to probably laugh a little bit, but nevertheless, we will get a lot of teaching, a lot of advice, a lot of skills and techniques of how she does it, and helping and supporting those who are in the comedy writing. So I will not take a lot of your time. I will just bring her up. Hallo, moin, moin.
Moin, moin. Wie geht's? Sehr gut. Dankeschön.
So, guys, moin moin is like good morning, good afternoon, good evening for the northern parts of Germany. So they wake up, they say moin moin. They go afternoon, they say moin moin. They go at night and it's still moin moin for them. And so since my guest comes from Hamburg, I thought I will try those techniques for Hamburg Leute. So you see, we already have the English in the show today. Right?
Yes, we do.
It's really funny, you know, when you're so used to speaking English and then you have to do a little bit of German, and then all of a sudden you just find yourself mixing English and German, and then you're like, what did I say? Right?
Yeah, you get the Danglish.
Yeah, we call it the English because it's the German and it's English, and we're just in between there. Oder?
Oder? Ja, stimmt. That's right.
See? Oh, June, thank you so much for showing up, in my show today. Who are you? I am so glad that you come. I'm so glad that we've already started having fun already. Just, I think you're my first, let's say, I know you're from English-speaking country, but nevertheless, because you speak German, you've been living in German for a while, it feels like having a German person on my show today. So it feels exciting, it feels interesting because of the language. I feel nice when I can speak a little bit of my German, my broken German, I can say. But thank you so much for showing up. So we will take from there and we will have you tell us who is June. Sag uns, wer bist du?
Auf Deutsch oder auf Englisch? Ich habe vorbereitet mich auf English. Is that okay if I speak in English?
Speak in English, my dear, speak in English.
No, so I consider myself someone with a shocking sense of humor. In high school, I was class clown, and I'm a prankster, and I'm also sometimes really fun at parties. I love to talk to everyone. I'm really genuinely interested in other people, but I do have a goal when I spot someone at a party, and that's to see if I can make them laugh or see if they tell me to get lost. But I've moved quite a few times, And it's not always easy, being the new kid in town or starting over again. But I find humor, like I scope out a couple things when I get to a new town. Comedy, humor, and sports. So I also seek out, I play a new sport every time I go to a new city. I join an improv troupe, and I also do stand-up comedy. So that's usually my thing that gets me through those first few months, and you make some good friends that way as well. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. When I saw your biography and I saw you do stand-up comedy, and I was like, okay, she lives in Germany, she does stand-up comedy in Germany. I know there is an English stand-up comedy club in Frankfurt, but I was trying to figure out, does she do her comedy in English, or does she do also in German? And how does that complement each other? And how do people take it? Have you ever tried it in German?
You know what? Actually, I've never tried it in German either, because my jokes are a play on words. So the particular words I've chosen for my favorite routines, they don't actually work in German. But there's a few jokes. I have a few German jokes that I use, but I use English, to say the jokes. And I think it's kind of fun. Like one of my favorites is, you get on stage and I live in an Altbau, so I have all these stairs. So you know what I'm talking about, right? What an Altbau is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the old structured houses with all those funny circulating stairs, and you feel like you're in one of those, what do they call this, Scoopy or ancient movies where everybody was like going like,
the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's a lot of work to get home.
Yes, I know, my goodness.
Yeah, so I like to have a few jokes about, my life is like so much more difficult because I live in this Altbau, but yet it's a beautiful building. But you can't even get the mail, right?
Yeah. They're beautiful from outside because, they have all those ancient decorations. They still look authentic and beautiful. But when you start going inside and, you're somebody who has come from the other part of the world where, everything started becoming modern here, we still like those old kind of style because they're beautiful, they're ancient. But when you start doing your exercise going up, you say, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Or if like mine, like the hot water takes forever to heat up. I don't know if you have that problem. And sometimes like that hot water heater rattles in the middle of the night. I mean, it's those little charms of this album that make me a very modest person.
Have you ever tried to say, let me go into the movies? Maybe I can do a movie here and a Scoopy one that, everybody's like, woo, woo, woo. And, what do they call them? The ghosts, the Gespenster, they're just going.
Yeah, the Geist, is it? That's funny though, because there's a particular building I know on Schulstrasse in Frankfurt, and it's really like charming and scary. It looks like the home of Dracula, and that's what I think of when I go to that building. And it's a perfect place to make a movie. And I'm thinking like, this is gonna happen.
I can imagine it. I was just watching, was it yesterday evening? I was watching a movie with my daughter, and there was one which had those kind of features, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, you want to tiptoe, but still the wooden stairs and the wooden floor is making. So you're like, why are you tiptoeing? Just walk normal, because it doesn't make.
Yeah, that's another charm of living in an old house.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh, awesome! Oh, you've just made me laugh. Oh, you've just brought the giggle. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we've not even started the show. It was just like an introduction. Oh man, isn't that what they made out of comedy? Like they take all those old things and they make comedy out of it. They remind people, they talk people to those old days and remind them of those lifestyles where everybody's like. So
yeah.
How do you do your stand-up comedy? And I know you've done it here in Germany as well. You've done it in Frankfurt, right? How How is it appreciated, and what kind of style do you use in your comedy?
Okay, so, well, in my comedy, I like to bring in myself. So originally I'm from Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're familiar with Fargo, North Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
there's a TV show called Fargo, and they make
Yeah.
fun of that accent. And my mother comes from Fargo, and she's
Ah,
taught us how to speak. So that's one of my things when I do comedy is I bring myself into it. So
ah.
like I'm from Wisconsin, and it's very like we're very innocent there, and we don't swear. So I go with what I know because we are a very innocent people in Wisconsin, and Hollywood has made so many shows making fun of our accent. And when I
Okay.
watched this, I thought I can do that. I could speak like that. So that's one of my angles is to bring in
Okay.
my innocent self from Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Tell us, June, how did you come to comedy? Is it something that you desired to do since you were young, or is there something that triggered you to come into the comedy world?
So, yeah, like I've always loved to laugh, and I have a bunch of brothers and sisters, and we used to play jokes on each other all the time growing up. Um, before I did any comedy, I used to even write fake Cosmo quizzes.
Oh,
So,
wow.
how do you know if he's the one? And I'd write fake quizzes for my friends, and we'd make fun of whoever it is. And if I wanted the answer to be, he's not the one, I could throw in, your favorite ice cream is vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry.
Oh, wow.
And I could just lead them to the answer I wanted them to do. It was so fun. Yeah, so I've always been interested in comedy, but the first time I ever got on stage to perform was in Frankfurt, and I used to be in Frankfurt theater sports,
Mhm.
international theater sports, FITS, if you've ever heard of FITS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was one of the first members when we first started.
Oh,
And
okay.
this, yeah, it would have been in like probably 2009 or 2010 or something. I'm trying to remember how far back, but we were like, kind of just playing around and having fun with improv.
Mhm.
And then we started putting this on stage, and a lot of people were looking for a laugh. So we had a great attendance. We used to do
Mhm.
after work parties or something, the happy hour
Mhm.
parties. We did
Yeah.
once a
Mhm.
month. Totally fun, and but I had just as much fun rehearsing as I did performing in shows.
Mhm.
And that was actually one of the difficult things when I left Frankfurt, was to leave all my good friends and the theater group, because it was just such a blast. So when I got to Sydney, I scoped out theater, and I found a great group within a couple months, and
Mhm.
we started performing twice a week. And all of a sudden it was a full-on improv like boot camp all of a sudden. I was just
Mhm.
immersed in it. And where you find improvisers, you also find sketch writers, and then you also find stand up. So when through networking, I started doing sketch comedy, and that's when you write the comedy. And
Mhm.
then I started doing stand up. And then because I had so much fun with these sketches, I put them in a book.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah, I wrote
wow.
a book with them. It's called Meditation for Mad Minds. And it was something I was inspired to do because I just didn't want to lose those possible
Mhm.
laughs for the world to share. I didn't want to leave it on my
Mhm.
laptop, so I
Oh,
published it.
wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We are going to do a short break, and when we come back, we are going to dive in on June's book that she wrote, The Meditation for Mad Minds, because that is what we want to dive into more. Comedy is part of her life, is what she's been doing, and we wanted to get more, and she has talked us through her comedy. So we will be seeing how she combined that into the book, and she decided to become an author, and how she works with people and help them to be able to also be comedy writers, and how she guides them, how she instructs them, how she brings in that comedy part into writing, and how if you are an aspiring writer, a comedian aspiring writer, author, you can be able to learn some skills and techniques that she does. We've already done some little nice comedy from the beginning. We did all those ghost things, and we were so happy because at least we've relived that part of life. And so make sure that you watch the replay from the beginning because it is awesome. She's just been so lovely. And so we will make a short break, and then we will come back and we will continue with June's journey as a comedy writer.
Your heart is tarnished black and blue. Betrayal is a feeling, not a word anymore. And you won't fall in love again. You've opened up too many times to be let down once more. And you say, I'll build a wall around myself.
Hello, welcome back. This is the show, Who Are You? I am your host, Dr. Leah, and our guest today is June Waldenberg. June is from Hamburg, from Frankfurt, from Sydney, from Wisconsin, USA. So she's an international, and it's nice to have international because we've mixed all those languages. Probably she'll come to Asia and Africa, and she can get some little languages from there. And next time when she comes back, we can mix also those languages in, right? So, June, talk to us about your book, Meditation for Mad Minds. How did you come to this title?
So in Sydney, we performed sketch comedy, and we were in a writer's group. And I found it so much fun to work with my peers writing comedy and sharing ideas. And they would tell me, no, that doesn't work, but this does. And I'd share with them that could be improved if you rewrote it this way. And we put on shows and we wrote for ourselves. So we were the writers and the actors. And I remember a particular show we were performing, and it was my sketch. So I had directed the actors. And another co-writer backstage with me, she pulled me aside and she was like, listen to that. And the whole room was laughing so hard, and I was watching them, and the performers had to take so many breaks because the content was so funny. They had to give the audience time to catch their breath and breathe. And that's when I thought, I want to capture this. I want to put it in a book. And I just think people really need to lighten up and laugh more. And I think the world would be a better place if we did.
Oh, yes. Laughter is a healthy habit, and laughter makes people young. One, it makes you feel great. It gives you positive attitude. And I think it's also something that regenerates us and refreshes us from inside out. And so, just always finding a reason to laugh no matter where we are, I think is an important thing. Even if through the day, there are bits of the days that you can still feel down, but you can find one thing to laugh, like today we found something to laugh about. The day was very cold today, and you just feel like, wow, I am freezing. But then when you find something to laugh about, that warmth just comes in like a flash. And I just love the way you talked about how people were talking about something, and how they started laughing, and you just realized you want to keep people laughing continuously. How you put it into the book Meditation for Mad Minds. Tell us, who exactly were you having in mind with the Meditation for Mad Minds? Because some people will be like, what, meditation for mad minds? Okay.
Well, yeah, I know. I wrote it during the beginning of our COVID-19 lockdown, where I just moved to Hamburg, and I realized there's not going to be like theater performances for a long time. So I thought, I don't know if these sketches will ever see the light of day again. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to put them in a book for myself, right? And then I thought, I'm going to put some instructions in the beginning. And then I wrote inspiring stories in between each sketch, but inspiring funny. Like I wrote, why did I get the idea to write this sketch And these are based on real stories that have happened to me. But
Mhm.
I mean, they're altered, obviously, to make them a bit more funny. And yeah, so I just started writing it during the lockdown, and I realized even for myself, I was filling hours of my day laughing to myself with all this content. And I thought, if somebody else reads this, maybe that will make them feel good as well.
Mhm.
And I've published it, and I get emails and messages saying, I'm reading your book right now, and I can't stop laughing. And it's a
Oh,
short book. One guy wrote, I read your book today, or I read your book and it made my day.
wow.
And that
Wow.
made my
Wow.
day. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's what I want.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, and that's so beautiful and so well said that they're reading your book or they read your book and it made their days, because in this lockdown nobody expected that a lockdown would come, and as you sat and you thought there's not going to be a comedy for a while, but then you thought, let me put it into books and still reach out to a lot of people and make them laugh, even in this season that we are locked down, in a season where we don't know what is coming next or when we are going to be having the normal, whatever the normal will be. And people are just still enjoying your comedy out there through the book that you wrote, and that is so awesome. How do you feel that you have written this book, it made you laugh, people are laughing out there, even though they don't see you, they don't have that close contact with you, but they have you with a book? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm serving my purpose.
Mhm.
Like I really want people to lighten up. Like that's my goal. And it makes me feel so good inside when somebody comes back to me and they say, yeah, I had a bad day until I read your book. Or even the other day, I saw somebody in Frankfurt I hadn't expected to see, and we started chatting, and he said, you made my day today. I was feeling a bit down, and I'm glad we met up and talked, because you're always smiling, you're always fun to talk to. And
Mhm.
yeah, that makes me feel good, because I think life's too short to be a bummer.
Yes, 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 yes. Glad you sure. I mean, who knew that would be on lockdown? Because here we were, January, 2020, and then 2 months, 3 months down the lane, we were like, okay, so what is 2020 all about? And and so awesome that people have taken time into this time to be more creative and to reach out in different ways. June, you are also teaching comedy writing.
Mhm.
What is the difference between the normal creative writing, and how is that appreciated within your client circle or within your sphere of influence?
See, I like that question, because my quick answer would be, well, you're not trying to be funny when you're writing a regular story,
Mhm.
except in comedy, when you're not trying to be funny, that's when you are funny. So I think in comedy writing, we try to come up with our jokes. So we're like,
Mhm.
this is one of our buttons, and this one, and we want at least three, and then we want to have a big bang. So in comedy, I'm looking for a pattern of three with
Mhm.
some shock value that will make you laugh. But if I'm writing a creative story, I start off with a sentence, and I've actually written creatively in my book where
Mhm.
the inspiration comes, where it's not scripted comedy. So the short stories, they're interesting stories. They also have to be edited and changed to hook the reader. But when you're
Mhm.
writing comedy, you're writing to be punchy and quick. So you
Okay.
leave out a lot of extra words because you're saying them to somebody.
Mhm.
But if
Mhm.
you're reading,
Mhm.
you can have many colorful adjectives in there. And sometimes you really want to paint a picture for the reader. So you'll
Mhm.
take way more adjectives, and you'll take the story down a real long path of how beautiful the leaves were. But in comedy, we don't really have time for that. We have to get to the point real quick, So
Mhm.
you'll have to find words instead of the mountain was breezy and beautiful, Oh, you know how a mountain is on a morning. You just bring somebody in. You know how this is. Yes, you do. we're trying to relate at a quick level with the attention span of humans when we're doing comedy, and we need that joke in 10 seconds or we're done.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I love and do you find it easier to have, your comedy writing easier and like the normal, creative writing, or how would you say comparison between the comedy writing, and I know it's because it is in your field, compared to the normal creative writing?
Yeah, so the difference is being very punchy, like with a sentence is short in comedy. And I edit a lot more. I edit my comedy a lot more. So my sentence is going to be short and to the point, and I put pauses in where I think people are going to laugh. And with comedy, my written comedy to deliver, like in stand-up, that's rehearsed and that's memorized as well.
Okay. Oh wow, awesome. Tell us in your own words 5 techniques that you think a beginner, somebody who wants to begin to write comedy writing, how would you advise them? Just 5 quick techniques that they can use to bring them up to that place where they can say, okay, I am now comfortable to be able to write comedies, to do those sketches, but they are not feeling so green at the same time and so lost.
Okay, number 1, never try to be funny. Be yourself and let the laughs come organically. So that's number 1. Number 2, watch a stand-up comic or a sketch, and then decide what you like about them. Figure out the first time you laughed when you saw the delivery. Understand that there are formulas to being funny, and you can use them and implement those into your writing. So that would be another difference, actually, is to add these formulas for being funny. And the element of surprise is always funny. So, so Leah, if somebody said to me, June, you're a comic, are you funny? And I said no, then it's like just a surprise thing, because then you just don't expect somebody to say no. So it's funny. And then don't get frustrated with your first draft, because it's not going to be funny the first time, like it never is. The fun comes in editing and sharing. So that would be, I guess, another difference to your question. Like when we're in our comedy writers room, the idea is to share feedback and take on feedback. So we have to learn to not be over, like we have to be able to be critical of ourselves or take on feedback and willing to, go on this journey with someone else's idea, because it might be the best thing ever. And if not, you might have 2 ideas for a sketch and you could create 2 different comedies that way.
Wow, awesome. I just love the example that you've given there when somebody asks you, are you funny? And you say no. I was like, okay. So I would be looking at the person 3 times first to realize, why would you say you're not funny?
And then you just stand there for a moment and the pauses.
Yeah, because I would be fast. Okay, maybe probably we missed each other somehow, or the person just tries to have an English humor. I don't know. But then before I would realize that, okay, so the person is having a comedy or is trying to, is bringing out that funny part of the whole scene. I was like, okay, great. So tell us, what would be a formula? You've said add formulas for being funny. Give us 3 formulas.
If you're doing sketch comedy, there's different styles. So if you're writing a parody, are you familiar with what a parody is?
No, what is a parody?
Okay, so it's when you make fun of the original.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say a very famous movie is Star Wars. but you want to make a funny sketch comedy. So instead of Luke Skywalker, you could have Luke Skystretcher or something.
Okay.
And yeah, and then you could find, and then I would say watch a movie and see what are the main things Luke Skywalker does. Write down 3 or 4 things that are kind of funny. Like he always has his lightsaber. He's always wearing white. And then I think his hair is sometimes in his face. So like just weird things like that you can pick out and then exaggerate that. Take those pieces and exaggerate those pieces. So it's not necessarily like you're trying to be funny. You're also trying to relate with your audience. And when your audience sees something familiar or gets shocked by the over-exaggeration, it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you've probably seen, are you a fan of Borat or Bruno? That's Sacha Cohen.
Yeah.
If you know him. So he always has this inappropriate response. And he goes so far that we're like, oh no, don't say it. Don't say it. Yeah. And then he does, and then he says something actually even worse than we expect. And we laugh because we're uncomfortable for him. But so it's an inappropriate response when somebody says something that you just did not expect. And it's shocking, and it's funny, and we laugh. So
Okay. Awesome. Do you always feel like every time you go to do a stand-up comedy, you come up to the platform and it's always a different audience, right? How do you normally start? Do you get nervous? Are you already used to it because you've been doing it for a while, for a long time, just for the audience who are trying to, come into that place and understanding? Because for me, I would say when I started my shows, the first time I was like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of tense and, looking. I know I always aspired to be a journalist when I was young, but I never knew that, doing interviews and having conversations with people, you will need a lot of things to be attentive. How do you normally feel? How do you approach your platform?
So, okay. Before I go on stage, I rehearse, practice in front of the mirror, memorize. So I know my stuff. So I never want to fail because I didn't know what I wanted to say. But sometimes like every audience is different. So if I do stand up in Sydney and I do that same routine in Frankfurt, I have to be able to read the audience and pause. So I would say if I was going to recommend stand up, I would say make sure that you pause enough because somebody just might start laughing where you just didn't think it was funny. And then laughter is contagious. And if somebody's laughing during your joke, then it's missed because nobody heard it. And then you start over, it's not cool, right? Oh, you didn't hear me, let me start over. Like you look like an amateur. So speak slowly, speak clearly, smile. I mean, and there are times I've been nervous when I said my first joke and people just stared at me. And this happened to me in Hamburg. But they were like leaning forward and they were excited and I could see like their eyes were big and they really wanted to hear me, but they were uncomfortable laughing. Like they didn't, but they were there and I could feel they were, excited. What's going to come next? But I'm thinking, do I pause and, hold up, applause now sign? Because they didn't know. And it's not appropriate to be like, you can clap now. I guess I could if that's going to be my style. But I found that I implemented more pauses because I'm like, but I also didn't know the people well enough to be like, are you guys always like this? Because it was my first gig. And I was first. And then I watched the others and it was like pulling teeth. Every comedian had a difficult night that night. And I was like, whew. So I didn't want them to fail, but I just wanted to be like, wow, am I the only one that's not going to get a laugh? And, they're like, come on, you guys, you can smile, you can laugh. And then I had a chat with one of them and they said, oh yeah, in Hamburg, people are just a bit more quiet. They don't like to laugh out loud so much.
When was in Hamburg, and I was like, oh my God, poor thing. This Germany, people just don't laugh. And everybody's like, you look like, am I in the right place? Probably it's the wrong quorum in the
Yeah, but I love that too because I feel like it builds character. It's not fair if something's too easy all the time and then you don't try to get better. And so Hamburg is the place I recommend going if you want a challenge.
Okay.
I came up with a joke in Hamburg. This is my favorite, right? And I thought, oh, this is going to kill, right? So I did a comparison, like Sydney has everything, or Hamburg has everything. Sydney has the Opera House and there's the Elf Philharmonie. Sydney has the harbor, but Hamburg has a harbor. But Sydney has something Hamburg's never going to have. It's yellow and it's in the sky. It's called the sun. So that was my joke. But yet, damn it, if it wasn't sunny that day, it was sunny those 3 days leading up to my routine, but I just really wanted to say it, so I just dared. And the people were like, whoa, like they got it.
Would you say that sometimes, okay, I know everybody, you always prepare for your sketch, you prepare for your routine, for that platform, for that day. Is there a time where you are, on your platform and then you just had something spontaneous that came and you thought, I'm going to put this in and I'm going to see how it will play out with my audience today as the first thing?
Yeah.
Other than the sun thing.
So, Leah, I have a bit, and I don't really know if it's appropriate for your show, so I won't say too much, but
It's comedy hour.
It's comedy hour. Okay, so it was a joke related to British English, right? So when they say can't, to me it sounds like they say something else. Like the opposite of can to me sounds kind of like can't, sort of, oh, I can't do this. It sounds like that to me. So I have a routine where I say there's two types of people, the cans and the cunts, I'm a cunt. And I use the accent. And so it's supposed to be somebody who wants to be more positive. And I said to a girl, look, everyone has potential to be this person sometimes. When was the last time you were, and I used this word and she just stared at me with like, devil, like she was mad and I just could feel the hate coming off her. And she was staring at me through the show and I thought, yeah, that wasn't a good reference. I kept going, but I thought, like, I really have to be careful with that because, I mean, it was a comedy joke, but I had the feeling that she really didn't like it. And that's one thing. You have to be very careful when you decide to pick on somebody in the audience. You don't know if maybe they've had too much to drink or they had a bad night or they're going to heckle you back. And if they do, are you going to look stupid? Which also is fun, but
tails out your joke somehow.
Yeah. Oh, you know what, Leah, though? One of my friends was like a heckler and she didn't know it. We would go to shows and someone would be like, you know what the opposite of that is? And she'd go, yeah, dog. And they're like, I'm on stage. Who do you think you are? And then she'd look at me and go, why are they so mad? But she'd answer all their jokes. She'd interrupt them. And then I said, well, they don't like that. And she goes, no, they love it. Oh, it was so funny. She had no idea.
My goodness. Awesome. So to tell us, what is your legacy with, comedy and comedy writing and sketches? How do you want to, one of the most important thing, of course, I know is that, you're fulfilling your purpose and you want to make people feel happy, laugh more. What is the other legacy that you want to leave for the people, with your comedy?
Well, one of the things is I want other people to realize they have the potential inside themselves to be funny. And that's why I also teach comedy, because it's so funny. I get people signing up for my class, but they're like, I'm not funny. And I'm like, well, that's cool, because you shouldn't try to be funny. And they need a little bit of coaxing sometimes to get into that script writing mode or to start writing the comedy. And I like them to, I love it when they try. Even, I'm like, don't try to be funny. And the first time we'll work together, we'll make it funny together. But just seeing people try, or to see people come up with a joke and then realize it's funny and then laugh at themselves and they get inspired to keep writing. So the legacy I want to do is to just spread that, like, anyone can sit down and write something funny. Like, everyone can, but you just have to give yourself the time, learn some of the formulas, and just get a favorite comic and watch him or her, and just, like, when you can relate with somebody, you can be funny. And just, and the element of surprise as well. Say the opposite of what somebody's thinking.
Awesome.
And I want other people to be funny too, because I don't want to be the only one at the party, like, laughing in the corner by myself. Like, I want to meet these fun people and I want to have fun at this party. I want to know. And I think when people do write comedy, they get out of their shells a bit and you become more aware of what people are doing, and you observe a bit more as well.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, June, for sharing your journey, sharing your book, sharing your comedy platform with us. Thank you so much. You've made me laugh the whole time. I feel refreshed. It's like my day just began, even though we are at the end of the day. So I'm so happy, because laughter is something beautiful. Laughter is something motivating. Laughter is something that, changes the whole perspective of everything and your surrounding as well, no matter where we find ourselves in. So thank you so much that you came up to our show, and you have really encouraged us. You've motivated us. You've made us laugh. So thank you so much. Tell us how people can get in contact with you. Those who want to start, comedy writing, they want to start to learn how to be funny, and how can they be in contact with you?
Okay, so like I said, I have a book out on Amazon, Meditation for Mad Minds, if you just want to read and maybe get inspired by reading some funny material and some light instructions, or go to my website, www.meditationformadminds.com, and there's a contact form on that website, and I can be reached there. And if you send me a note, I'll let you know when the next workshop is. And they're all Central Eastern Standard Time, or Central European Standard Time.
Awesome. I can see you decided to build another timing for us in Europe, and we didn't even choose. We didn't get a chance to choose that.
But it's important, because I have students that come in an hour late saying, "Oh, England," like, "Oh."
Yes, so, exactly. Because there's a difference in, Europe. The countries, they share the same, but you have also to specify Europe. Are you Berlin time, London time? Otherwise you will get all chaotic, because England, they are like 1 hour behind Germany. So they're like, oh, okay, I thought it was this time. No, darling, we're in Germany. That's our time.
Yeah. That's right. People know it more by Berlin, Frankfurt time, I think.
Exactly. So when you mention Berlin time, they know, okay, that's more equivalent to other European. When you say London time, then they know, okay, that's an hour behind, or in winter, 2 hours behind. So yeah, so thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much for bringing laughter. Thank you all who have been watching with us. Thank you those who will be watching replays. And next week we have great lineup, and people will be coming and sharing with us their journey. This show is to impact, to motivate you, to empower you to be a better version. Today, we've been inspired to be funny and to laugh more because it is healthy. People, it is healthy to laugh. Just laugh once a day is fine. I know this morning I was a little bit gloomy because I was like, oh my goodness, another day, you can't do nothing. But now I have laughed. I feel renewed, like my day has just started. So every day, don't forget to put a smile on your face because a smile is a gift of life each new day. So thank you so much. From me, Dr. Leah, your host, and our guest today, June, from Frankfurt, Hamburg, Sydney, everywhere international. We say thank you and stay blessed.